I always told myself she was just someone I admired from a distance. Someone I looked at the way people stare at sunsets, beautiful, unreachable, meant to be appreciated, not touched. Her name was Marissa, and she lived across the street from us for as long as I could remember. I grew up seeing her in small moments, trimming her roses in the morning, carrying groceries in one hand and pushing her hair out of her face with the other, laughing softly on her porch with a cup of tea. To everyone else, she was simply the woman next door. To me, she was something I never quite understood, even when I was young. Maybe it was the way she carried herself, calm, composed, warm. Or maybe it was the quiet sadness in her eyes sometimes, like she had lived through storms no one knew about. But I never imagined she would ever look at me the way I looked at her. Not until that night. It started the evening my parents went out of town and left me with a list of chores longer than the driveway. I was outside, trying to fix a stubborn outdoor light that kept flickering, when I heard her voice from across the lawn. "You look like you've been fighting with that thing for hours," she said, leaning on her porch rail with a smile. I laughed awkwardly. "I think the light is winning." "Come here a second," she said. I walked over, trying not to look too eager, even though my heart was doing ridiculous things. When I reached her porch, she stepped aside and pointed to a small toolbox. "I have better tools. Use whatever you need." "Thanks," I said, picking up a screwdriver. "You always have everything." "Comes with living alone for too long," she replied with a small, sad smile. I hesitated. "Do you like living alone?" She looked at me, really looked at me, as if my question surprised her. "Some nights," she said softly. "Tonight, not so much." There was something about the way she said it, like she hadn't meant to let it slip. Her eyes wandered to the sky, then back to me. "You're not a kid anymore," she murmured. That caught me off guard. "Did you ever think I was?" She let out a quiet laugh. I tried to. By the time I fixed the light, it had started to drizzle, a soft summer rain that made everything smell like wet grass and warm earth. I ran back toward her house to return the tools, shaking raindrops from my hair. "Come inside," she said before I even reached the steps. "You'll get sick." I followed her inside. It was warm, cozy, smelling faintly of vanilla and old books. She handed me a towel, her fingers brushing mine. It was a small touch, a simple thing, but it sent a shiver through me like her touch was a language I'd been waiting my whole life to hear. "You grow taller every time I blink," she teased, trying to break the silence. "And you," I paused, catching myself. "And I," she asked, lifting a brow. "You look younger every time I see you." Her smile faltered, not because she didn't like hearing it, but because she wasn't used to hearing it. "You shouldn't say things like that," she whispered. "Why not?" "Because I'll believe you." I stepped a little closer, emboldened by the softness in her voice. "Maybe you should." The rain tapped softly against the windows, a quiet rhythm filling the room. "How old are you now?" she asked. "Old enough," I replied gently. She let out a slow breath, her eyes drifting to my lips for the briefest moment. "This is dangerous," she murmured. "For who?" I asked. "For me." She walked to the window, watching the rain fall harder now, making the world outside blurry and distant. I followed her slowly. "You know what scares me?" she whispered without turning around. "What?" She turned her head just enough for me to see the vulnerability in her eyes. "You make me feel things I thought I was done feeling." I stepped beside her. "Like what?" "Like someone could want me again." "I do want you." She shut her eyes tight, as if the words pierced her in a place she kept hidden. "You're too young for me," she said weakly. "I thought that too," I whispered, until I realized something. She opened her eyes, waiting. "You don't feel older, not to me. You feel right." Her breath shook. Slowly she reached up and touched my cheek, her hand trembling just slightly. "You don't know what you're doing to me," she whispered. I placed my hand over hers. Then tell me. Her fingers curled against my skin. You make me forget my age, she said, voice breaking. That moment, everything shifted. She wasn't the woman next door anymore. I wasn't the boy she watched grow up. We were two people caught in a moment that felt bigger than both of us. I leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Her eyes fluttered shut. Her lips parted slightly. And when I kissed her, it was gentle, warm, full of everything we'd both been holding back for far too long. Her hands slid up to my shoulders, mine to her waist. She pulled me closer, just slightly, but enough to tell me she wanted it as much as I did. When we finally pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. "This can't be real," she whispered. "It is." She closed her eyes again, letting out a shaky breath. "What happens now?" she asked. "Whatever you want." She smiled, tender, nervous, hopeful. "Stay," she whispered. "Just stay with me a little longer." I did. I stayed. And in that quiet house, with the rain falling outside and her hand in mine, the world felt like it had finally made room for the two of us. The night grew softer. She grew braver. And I realized something I had never dared to believe. She didn't just forget her age around me. She remembered her heart. I stood there frozen because when she said those words, "You make me forget my age," everything inside me flipped upside down. I had always thought of her as untouchable, too elegant, too experienced, too everything. She was my mom's friend, the woman who carried herself like she'd lived 1,000 lives and learned from every one of them. And I was just me. But that night changed everything. She turned slightly away from me, brushing her fingertips over the counter like she suddenly regretted speaking. Her shoulders stiffened, as if she was preparing for me to laugh, or walk out, or pretend I didn't hear her at all. I stepped closer instead. "Why would you say that?" I asked quietly. She inhaled sharply. "Forget I said anything. I shouldn't have. I'm older, you're young, it's wrong." "It doesn't feel wrong," I said. She looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes searched mine, afraid, hopeful, terrified, and wanting all at once. "You don't know what you're doing," she whispered. "Maybe," I said, "but I know what I'm feeling." "You shouldn't," her voice cracked. "People will judge, your mother will kill me, and I don't want to break your life." "You're not breaking anything," I said. "You're the only person who ever made me feel like I wasn't just some kid trying to impress the world." Her lower lip trembled. She laughed softly, bitterly. "You think I don't see how girls look at you? You think I don't know you could be with someone younger, easier, simpler?" "I don't want simple," I said. "I want someone who understands me, who challenges me, someone who makes me feel something real." "Don't say things like that," she whispered again, stepping back. I followed. "No," she breathed, "don't do that." "Why not?" I asked. "Because," she said, closing her eyes for a moment, "if you keep talking like this, I won't be able to stop myself." I didn't touch her. I just stood close enough that she could feel my breath. "Then don't stop." Her eyes opened slowly, and I swear the whole world shrank down to just the space between us. She reached up, brushing her fingers across my jaw, almost like she was afraid I'd disappear. "You don't understand," she said, voice shaking. "I stopped believing men your age could feel anything real. I thought you'd look at me and see nothing but wrinkles and responsibility." "I see the woman who taught me confidence without even trying," I said. "The woman who made me realize age doesn't matter when someone makes your heart move." She swallowed hard, her throat tightening. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm not," I said. She smiled then, small, trembling, breathtaking. "You make me feel alive again, and I hate that I want more." I stepped even closer, gently touching her hand. "Tell me what you want." Her breath caught. "I want someone who doesn't look at me like I'm a reminder of what they can't have. I want someone who sees me, not my age, Not my past, just me. I do, I said. I've always seen you. For a moment, neither of us moved, and then she whispered, voice barely holding itself together. Then stay. I froze. Not because I didn't want to, but because the way she said it, it wasn't casual, it wasn't playful, it was broken, vulnerable, real. Stay tonight, I asked. She shook her head. Stay in my life. The air left my chest. You're asking me for something serious, I said carefully. I know, she whispered, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should push you out the door and pretend this never happened, but you make me forget I'm supposed to be sensible. Then be real, I said, just this once. Her eyes softened. I've been real with you since the day you first said something kind to me without expecting anything back. What did I say? She smiled faintly. You told me I looked tired but still strong. No one had said anything like that to me in years. The room grew warmer, quieter. She stepped toward me, her fingers sliding into mine. If you walk away now, I'll understand, she said. But if you stay, everything changes. I'm staying, I said. Her breath shivered out of her. She leaned her forehead lightly against my chest, as if letting herself believe it. Then promise me something, she whispered. Anything. Don't make me forget my age, she said softly. Make me forget my fears.